Hello and welcome to the Coors Event Center. I am Matt Smith for 5280 Sports Network. Thanks so much for tuning in. Well, Colorado knocks off number 13 Xavier in their biggest win of the season without question. Colorado wins 68-66. It was a tight ball game. Xavier led by 9 with 18 minutes to go in the second half, and then the Buffs would go on a 15-0 run in that second half of play that would essentially give them the lead, and they would never look back. A lot of big performances tonight, and we'll get into that, but you have to be impressed by the biggest win for the University of Colorado basketball program since they beat Kansas on this very floor. Ironically enough, 3 years to the day from this evening. It was a big win for the Buffaloes, who were led by Derrick White. Of course, Derrick White transferred from UCCS and sat out last year, and he's been acclimating. And we've talked about him acclimating to life in D1 basketball. And boy, did he really show what fans expected to see, what Tad Boyle hyped up, and just who he is capable of being down the stretch tonight. It was a very impressive performance from Derrick, who led the Buffs with 23 points, also had 6 rebounds and 4 assists. The Buffs shoot 55% in the second half, 5 of 7 from 3, and the second half of play was really where it was all taken care of. They were down by 3 at halftime, 31-28, and the resiliency that they showed to fight back, despite Wes Gordon and Xavier Johnson both being in foul trouble all night long. That to me was probably the most impressive part of this game for this team, was that they were without, for the better part of, big stretches in that second half, their rocks in the low post, especially because Torrey Miller wasn't able to go again tonight. It was a big loss for Colorado. They've got to figure out what's going on with Torrey. In the post-game press conference, Tad said he really doesn't know what's changed between Portland on Saturday and tonight against Xavier, but they've got to figure that out because they need him, as tonight it was made clear that the front court depth, which I've speculated about quite a bit for this team, was really their weakness, as Wesley Gordon couldn't play with foul trouble in that second half. Lucas Seward, the 6'10 freshman from Brazil, was the one who was kind of thrown into the water, and it was a sink-or-swim scenario. Huge learning experience for Lucas tonight, who didn't play that well, got manhandled in the post, and in the post-game presser, Tad made note that hopefully this is the game that shows Lucas just exactly what he needs to do moving forward here in his Buffs career. He said he's got to get in the weight room, which is clear, but I think just the type of effort and intensity that it takes to really compete with elite teams on this level, a lot of guys learned that lesson tonight. The Buffs had just 6 players score tonight. They had 23 points from White, 18 from Xavier Johnson, and 16 points from George King. Now let's talk about George King for a minute. He has 16 points and 10 rebounds, his third double-double in his last 6 games. And I spoke with George in practice this week. He was actually on the podcast with us, No Bull, Just Buffs, and just talked to him about the transition that he had to take this year, accepting a new role on this team with Derrick White on the floor as well. And we saw George King embrace it tonight, 5 of 8 from the field, very efficient, hustled on both ends of the floor, and was a key component to this Buffalo's offense tonight. Between Johnson, White, and King, they have some really good scoring punch. And Josh Fortune, of course, maybe not so much consistently, but he can bring it as well. Wes Gordon's there, but the depth and the 6 through 10 on this team really need to begin to play better. This is a situation where Colorado now goes to face BYU, and against BYU on the road, they're going to return the favor and go play in Provo on Saturday night. And the key to that game for Colorado is taking the confidence that you built in this game, taking the learning experience not only on the offensive end, where shots were finally starting to fall for you, but the defensive effort and the defensive intensity. On that 15-0 run in the second half, they had 8 straight stops. It's a situation where they finally played Tad Boyle basketball, and I think it's really the first time all season long that we have really seen it to this level. I was impressed with what I saw, not only from King, White, and Johnson, but Wesley Gordon, despite having that foul trouble, really stepped in big minutes, didn't get to play a ton in this game, but really stepped in when he was on the floor and was a presence for the Buffs. There is one thing clear after the first 9 games of the season. It's that this team is not the same if Wes Gordon is not on the floor. and he's got to figure out a way to play defense without fouling. And not only that, he's got to get scoring a little bit more himself. Tonight, just 5 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists for him as well. But he just wasn't a huge factor on the offensive end. He's certainly a better offensive player than he's showing right now. You've got to like the fact that Bryce Peters is coming along, the freshman point guard for Tad Boyle. He actually had a nice game, was their only bench score tonight. The Buffs only had 4 bench points, and Bryce Peters had all 4 of them. And then the bad. Thomas Akiazili, Josh Fortune, Delion Brown, and Lucas Seward combined 0 of 12 from the field tonight. Lucas Seward, like I said, a learning experience from him, and Delion Brown, you can forgive that, but Thomas Akiazili has not played well lately. He needs to bring more of that energy and intensity that he brought to this team last season, and I think for Colorado, it's crucial, especially without Dom Collier back in the lineup yet, who, by the way, I believe was not wearing a boot tonight on that foot that he injured, that ankle that he injured. So hopefully Dom can begin to make his way back onto the practice court and back into the lineup very soon. But you've got to get more production out of your bench. Tonight, you scraped away with a win. You won by 2, and you beat a very good Xavier team, 68-66, righted the ship. This makes up for that Colorado State loss. Now, of course, in March, that CSU loss isn't going to look great, but this one was a huge, huge game to get out of the way as you head in to the final stretch here in your non-conference schedule. One more game to go in this very tough 4-game non-conference stretch that began with CSU, then at Portland, home to Xavier, and then, of course, at BYU on Saturday. It would be great to go 3-1. Tad Boyle in the post-game presser saying he would love that, of course. Would love to be undefeated, but he'll take it at this point. And for Colorado, you got to have a big win at BYU. Not a ton of other great opportunities for marquee wins left in your non-conference schedule before we get into Pac-12 play starting January 1st in 2017 at the Utah Utes. But again, it's another game in Utah on Saturday at BYU. They're 6-3 on the season. That one is going to be on ESPN2. Big game for Colorado, and they need to keep it rolling. I think they learned a lot about themselves tonight. I think they gained some good confidence that we talked about this week, and hopefully they can consistently put it back to back and stretch it out moving forward. It's a big, big slate coming up for Colorado here to end this non-conference season mistake-free, and we'll see if they can get it done on Saturday night. It was a fun one tonight from the Coors Event Center. Great atmosphere. Only about half of the student section was actually full. That, I assume, will change after this game. Until next time, I am Matt Smith from the Coors Event Center. Go ahead and follow along on 5280 Sports Network and check out our family of podcasts, including No Bull, Just Buffs, and also go to Twitter. Follow along at Real Matt Smith. That's Matt with 1 T. At 5280 Sportsnet or online at 5280sportsnetwork.com.